So to continue, this is plane geometry 2 part 2. Let's discuss here polygons. So we define a convex polygon as one in which no side, when extended, will cross the polygon. Then if one of the sides crosses, it is called a concave polygon. So this is a convex polygon, and let's have the following elements. So the interior angles are denoted with thetas. So let us say there are n sides and dot, so theta n. Then the angle formed between the side and the extension of the preceding side is the exterior angle, and we will call them betas. So thetas are interior angles, and we can draw non-overlapping triangles. There will be n minus 2 in general non-overlapping triangles. So for instance, if there are 4 sides, then we can only draw 2 non-overlapping triangles, where 2 non-overlapping triangles is 4 minus 2. There are 5, then we can draw 3 non-overlapping triangles, or 5 minus 2 non-overlapping triangles. In general, therefore, we can draw n minus 2 non-overlapping triangles. So since there are n minus 2 non-overlapping triangles that can be drawn from an n-sided polygon, then since we know that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees, the sum of the interior angles, therefore, of an n-sided convex polygon is equal to n minus 2 quantity times 180 degrees. So sum of interior angles is equal to quantity n minus 2 times 180 degrees. So again, the angle formed between the extension of the preceding side and the foregoing side is called exterior angle, and we denote them with betas. So let us say that's beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4, and so on and so forth, then beta sub n. Then at any corner, we find out that the sum of the interior angle and an exterior angle is a straight angle, or 180 degrees. That is, theta plus beta is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, summation of interior angles thetas plus summation of exterior angles betas is equal to 180 degrees times n, because there are n corners also, or n sides, and summation of thetas is known to be quantity n minus 2 times 180 degrees plus summation of exterior angles equals 180 degrees n. So if we expand, we have 180 degrees n, which can be cancelled, then minus 360 degrees. This negative 360 degrees transposed to the right, so the sum of the exterior angles is equal to 360 degrees. So note that for civil engineering students, these betas here are also called deflection angles, and the sum of the deflection angles is equal to 360 degrees, and that is constant. The number of diagonals n sub d that can be drawn from an n-sided polygon is a combination of n things taken two at a time, because we can draw a line just one line in 2 points from point 1 to point 2, because we have the same line form if we draw from the other point to the first point. So number of combinations. Since this refers to number of diagonals, we do not include the sides. So that's why we subtract n. Then formula for NC2, remember, is n factorial all over n minus 2 factorial, then divided by 2 factorial. So ND is NC2 minus n. NC2 is n factorial all over quantity n minus 2 factorial, 2 factorial, minus n simplifying. This is n times n minus 1 times quantity n minus 2 factorial divided by n minus 2 factorial times 2, because 2 factorial is 2. So we cancel out n minus 2 factorial. Simplifying further, that would be n times n minus 1 all over 2 minus n. Then n squared minus n minus 2n all over 2, or factoring out n in the numerator, which is n squared minus 3n over 2. So the number of diagonals is given by n quantity n minus 3 divided by 2. So for you to easily remember, don't memorize this, but rather this one, combination of n things taken 2 at a time minus n. That's the number of diagonals. Therefore, the total number of lines that can be drawn is equal to NC2. Do not subtract n because it is part. So just remember that if there are n distinct points, no 3 points of which lie on a straight line, the 3 points should not lie on a straight line, then there will be NC2 total number of lines that can be drawn. And it's easier to use NC2 than the formula for number of diagonals. We just subtract n to determine the total number of diagonals. So anyway, that's the derived formula for the number of diagonals. So next, we're going to name or classify polygons, closed polygons. So we have the number of sides, then the classification or the name. So we begin with 3 sides, of course. It is a triangle or trigon. That's the term. Then if there are 4 sides, it's called quadrilateral or tetragon. If 5, it's called pentagon. If 6, it's called hexagon. If 7, it's called heptagon or septagon. If 8, it's called octagon. If 9, it's called nonagon or enneagon. If there are 10 sides, it's called decagon. 11 sides, it's called ondecagon, just like the Spanish term for once, for 11, once. So ondecagon. If 12, it's dodecagon, dodecagon. 13, tridecagon. 14, it's called tetradecagon. 15, it's quindecagon. If 16, it's hexadecagon. If it's 17, it's called heptadecagon. Then 18, octadecagon. 19, nonadecagon. And 20, icosagon. Then if there are 30 sides, it's called tricontagon. 40, tetradecagon. 50, pentacontagon. 60, it's hexacontagon. 70, it's heptacontagon. 80, octacontagon. If it is 69 or 88, it's the new term for owagon. 8, 69. If it is 69, I think it's called nonacontagon. It's 90, it's enneacontagon. So if it is 90, it's called enneacontagon. If it is 100, it's hectagon. So that's why we have a 1 hectare lot is 100 meters by 100 meters. So 10,000 square meters, that's 1 hectare. If it is 1,000, it's called chiliagon or chiliagon. 10,000, it's called myriagon. If there are n sides, actually it's very difficult to draw polygons with this number of sides unless the length is considerable. It's actually a circle. It's almost, or it's a circle already. In general, if there are n sides, it's called n-gon. Now, if the polygon is regular, then we should attach the term regular polygons. So because regular polygons, the triangles drawn from the center connected to the corners, so bounded by one side, is an isosceles triangle, and we use that fact to derive important formulas so that you don't need to memorize all the formulas that will be presented here. Just focus on the area of one isosceles triangle and the associated elements such as the interior angle. Those are the necessary things in order for you not to memorize formulas that will be presented here. So the area of the regular polygon is equal to n times area of one isosceles triangle. So it is a regular polygon is both equilateral and equiangular. Same sides, equal sides, and same interior angle. So we have RR, the big R, the radius of the circumscribing circle or circumcircle. Since the sum of the interior angles here, one revolution is 360 degrees, then this should be 360 degrees over n, the interior angle of that isosceles triangle. And remember that the area of triangle is 1/2 product of adjacent sides times sine of that included angle. So therefore, the area of the regular polygon is, in terms of the radius of the circumscribing circle, is n times 1/2 r squares sine of 360 degrees over n. And I suggest that you should use that formula always because you're obliged to memorize 1/2 r squared sine of 360 degrees over n. If there is no big R, then you can solve big R for any situations. Even if this is the given side E, you can solve for R. even if the radius of the inscribed circle in a regular polygon is given, we call that apothem. You can solve for big R. So area of regular polygon is n times area 1, and area 1 is 1/2 r squared sine of 360 degrees over n. So the area of the regular polygon, one formula, and I hope that this is the formula that you're going to memorize, or I hope that this is already part of your system, is n over 2 r squared sine of quantity 360 degrees over n. So next we'll have this area in terms of the apothem small radius r, and this is the side which we denote E, and we have this half of the isosceles triangle mentioned earlier. This is the big radius r, and the angle here is half of the interior angle, half of 360 degrees over n, so that's 180 degrees over n. So this is the one that I shared with you a while ago, that if it is E that is given, you can solve for big R. If this is the apothem that is given, you can also solve for R, because we just formed this right triangle, and then this angle is 180 degrees over n. But I will derive formulas for area of regular polygons in terms of these elements also, but I suggest do not memorize. We can derive. So tangent of 180 degrees over n equals half of E over 2 over R. So that means E is equal to 2R tangent of 180 degrees over n. Since the area of the isosceles triangle shown is 1/2 of ER, and we multiply it by n to represent the total area of the regular polygon, so area equals n times quantity 1/2 of ER, and we replace the value of, or we simplify this as n ER over 2, and we interpret that n times E is the perimeter of the regular polygon, so therefore it is also 1/2 perimeter times R, and we can relate it to triangle because remember the area of triangle in terms of the radius of the inscribed circle is RS, where S was half of the perimeter of the triangle. So just like this, if we treat P over 2 as half of the perimeter, that's half of perimeter of the regular polygon this time, so it's like RS. You can also memorize RS, but do not forget that R is the radius of the inscribed circle, or we call this the apothem. So that's the formula, just in case, in terms of the apothem and the side. In terms of the apothem, purely apothem, then we replace E by that equivalent to R tangent of 180 degrees over n. So it is n over 2 times E, which is 2 R tangent 180 degrees over n times R. We can sell out 2. So area of regular polygon is nr squared tangent of 180 degrees over n, or narrow to, or nr squared, narrow to tan. That's my technique of memorizing that formula, if I'm going to memorize. But as I said, solve for big R so that you don't worry anymore about the area of the regular polygon. Since cotangent of 180 degrees over n is R over opposite E over 2, so R is E over 2 cotangent of 180 degrees over n. So substitute here, we replace R in terms of E. So area of regular polygon equals N times NE over 2 times R, and R is E over 2 tangent 180 degrees over N. So another formula, direct formula for regular area of regular polygon in terms of the side is NE squared over 4 cotangent of 180 degrees over N. So I suggest here that you do not memorize these formulas. Then for a regular polygon, the central angle is equal to the exterior angle. Remember, the sum of the exterior angles is 360 degrees over N. The sum of the exterior angles is 360 degrees. And if there are N corners, so we divide that by N. So 360 degrees over N. So the interior angles, thetas, equal. And this is 360 degrees over N, interior angle, which is equal to that. So theta, therefore, is sum of interior angles, quantity N minus 2 times 180 degrees divided by N. Then P, which is half of theta. So that is 360 degrees over N. This is also 360 degrees over N. So they are equal. And E is 1/2 of theta. So these angles here. But do not memorize. You can draw the regular polygon and you can just assign symbols. Then you can measure that as long as you do not forget these values and the sum of the interior angles. So P therefore is half of this value. So half of this is N minus 2 times 90 degrees over N. But do not memorize. So that's the value of P, which is half of the interior angle of a regular polygon. So we proceed to the derivation for the area and some elements and facts about n-pointed stars. So we also call an n-pointed star as polyalpha. Then if an n-pointed star is regular, it is called a polygram. So a regular 5-pointed star therefore is called pentagram. Regular 6-pointed star, hexagram. The minimum number of points for an n-pointed star to be called an n-pointed star or polygram is 5. So the lowest 5, we have 5-pointed star. The star in Caltex, Philippines. So that's an n-pointed star. So we'll call the interior angles also as theta. So that's theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, theta 5. Then we have here the minimum, the regular n-pointed star. So each interior angle would be called theta. So we must know the sum of the interior angles so that we can define or derive this theta for regular n-pointed stars or polygrams. So to derive, we use the concept that an inscribed angle, peripheral angle, if it subtends an arc such as this through theta 1, the central angle correspondingly measures double that angle. So remember that principle. So if this is theta 1 subtending this arc, if you locate the center subtends double that angle measure to theta 1. So that's 2 theta 1. This arc occupies 2 theta 1. This is theta 2. This arc here, subtended by theta 2, will occupy angular measure which is 2 times theta 2 by principle. This is theta 3 and this is 2 times theta 3. If that is theta 4, then this is 2 times theta 4. Finally, this remaining angle is theta 5, then that's 2 times theta 5. Therefore, the sum of this 2 times theta 1, 2 theta 2 plus 2 theta 3 plus 2 theta 4 plus 2 theta 5, in general 2 theta n, is 360 degrees. So after we divide by 2, we conclude that the sum of thetas, sum of interior angles of an n-pointed star or polyalpha, is 180 degrees. That's why for this regular 5-pointed star, there are 5 equal interior angles, so 5 theta is 180 degrees. So therefore it is 180 degrees over 5, that's 36 degrees for this regular 5-pointed star or pentagram. But in general, the sum of thetas would be, because the minimum is 5, so quantity n minus 4 times 180 degrees. So that's it. So to check, 5 minus 4, 1 times 180 degrees. So the sum of these thetas is quantity n minus 4 times 180 degrees in general. Therefore, for one interior angle, theta, we divide this by n. So theta is equal to quantity n minus 4 times 180 degrees divided by n. Then for polygrams, so we derive the area of a regular n-pointed star. That's an n-pointed star, not necessarily a pentagram or regular 5-pointed star. There are this white triangle per corner is identical with this unshaded one. So the area per corner is 2 times this area. So since there are n corners in general, then the area of the n-pointed star is 2 times n times area 1. Then remember, we have to isolate that triangle. So this is theta over 2. Let's call this alpha here, at this corner here. And this is 180 degrees over n, if you can remember, because this is just half. This is a regular pentagon inside, and the interior angle, remember, is 360 degrees over n, so half of that is 180 degrees over n. And if we have here alpha, this is 180 degrees minus 180 degrees over n minus theta over 2. All these have values or general expression. So alpha is 180 degrees minus theta over 2, 1/2 of formula n minus 4, 180 degrees over n, then minus 180 degrees over n. So simplifying that, alpha is 180 degrees minus 90 degrees plus 360 degrees over n minus 180 degrees over n. And 360 degrees over n minus 180 degrees over n is 180 degrees over n, while 180 degrees minus 90 is 90. So alpha is 90 degrees plus 180 degrees over n. So knowing the value of alpha, we can now proceed and derive the formula for. We recall that the area of a triangle in terms of one side is square of that side, sine of angles adjacent to that side divided by 2 times sine of angle opposite to that side. So recalling this triangle, this is alpha. We already know that alpha is 90 degrees plus 180 degrees over n. The area is square of this side, r squared. Then sine of product of sine of that angle times sine of this angle divided by 2 sine of alpha. So area r square sine of theta over 2, which is n minus 4 90 degrees over n. That is theta over 2, then sine of 180 degrees over n, divided by 2 sine of alpha, and alpha 90 degrees plus 180 degrees over n. So this is sine of 90 degrees minus 360 degrees over n. If we simplify, then sine of 180 degrees over n. Then expand this by some formulas, sine 90 cosine 180 degrees over n, plus cosine 90 sine of 180 degrees over n. Cosine 90 is 0, sine 90 is 1, and this is sine of co of 360 degrees over n, complement of this angle. The complement of this angle is cosine. Sine of co of this angle is equal to cosine of this angle. Remember, just like sine of 90 degrees minus theta is cosine of theta. So imagine this is another angle. So r squared cosine of 360 degrees over n, then sine of 180 degrees over n. This is simply 2 cosine of 180 degrees over n, because cosine 90 is 0. So sine over cosine is tangent 180 degrees over n. So area becomes r squared tangent of 180 degrees over n cosine of 360 degrees over n over 2. So finally, we multiply it by 2n, so we can cancel n. Area of n-pointed star is, after we cancel out n, is narrow to tan cos. Just know the function of angle for tan and cos. Naruto tan cos. That's like the name of Naruto, then the surname tan cos. 180 degrees over n cosine 360 degrees over n. But you're not obliged to memorize that. I suggest that because it is needed that you know this angle 180 degrees over n and that angle, you can apply sine law to solve this length. So after solving this length, then apply area of this triangle as 1/2 of product of adjacent side times sine of 180 degrees over n. And after that, multiply that by 2n in general. You can derive this as formula, but not important. Naruto tan cos. Next, we discuss similar polygons. Two polygons are similar if their corresponding angles are equal. So therefore, for similar polygons, corresponding sides are proportional also. That's the principle, just like for similar triangles. So we have here similar polygons and the corresponding interior angles, and theta n also, the sides, A2, B2, A3, B3, B4, A4, and so on and so forth. So it's gone, A4 is gone here. Anyway, so ratio of perimeters must be equal correspondingly to ratio of sides. That is, perimeter O, let's say this is the original, as to a perimeter A over perimeter B is A1 over B1 equals A2 over B2, A3 over B3, AN over BN, square root of area A over square root of area B. So take note that units for perimeter is unit of length. So that's why this is area, So we must extract the square root also. Likewise, if it is the area, square units, so it should be the ratio of the square of corresponding sides, or square of the perimeters also. Finally, for miscellaneous figures, plane figures in geometry. First, let's have an ellipse. So the elements A, the semi-major axis, length of semi-major axis. This is B, semi-minor axis. The area is pi AB, and the perimeter may be approximated by the formula 2 pi times square root of average square of A and B. So 2 pi square root of quantity A square plus B square over 2. But that's an approximate formula. You can introduce another term, middle term. It's like 2 pi. If this is a circle, then r square plus r square over 2 is r square, and square root of r square is r. So it will give us the same result. If we introduce another term, let's say AB, product, because this is an approximate, it will have an approximate but more accurate formula if the number of terms here is increased to 3. So we introduce AB, then the denominator should be 3. So that's also the approximate formula, but improved formula. Then for parabola, we know that the area is 2/3 base times height. And also an important property is squared property of parabola. That is y as to the square of this base x squared equals h as to b squared. So that's called squared property of parabola. Area of parabola 2/3 bh, then squared property of parabola y as to x squared, it should be from vertex, equals h as to b squared. Then for complementary parabola or spandrel of parabola, the area is 1/3 base times height. So this is the parabola, and so this is, if this is 2/3 base times height, then this should be 1/3 of base times height. Area of rectangle BH minus 2/3 BH is 1/3 of BH. Then if you are confronted with this figure here, normally parabola bounded by a line, so you can compute the area by calculus, which is by integration. Another way is, this is my suggestion, it is area of trapezoid minus area of spandrel at the left minus area of spandrel at the right. So that's the best way without integrating. But in particular for this element, for the shaded region, and we have here different defined known areas such as triangles, parabolas. So the area is equal to area of ABD, which is a parabola, plus area of ADE, which is a triangle, then plus area of parabola BCF. Then we subtract area of this triangle, ECF. And it is also equal to 2/3. The base is treated as AC, and the height would be the distance between, perpendicular distance between the tangent of the parabola somewhere here, not at the highest point because this is sloping, and this vertical distance. So 2/3 of AC times H, that's the direct way if we can find H. If not, apply my suggestion by integration or by area of trapezoid minus area of this spandrel minus area of that spandrel of parabola. So this is my suggestion. Area of spandrel, area of trapezoid minus area of spandrel AGB minus area of spandrel BHC. Then other approximate area tools, in fact, calculators are programmed in this manner in computing for areas, because integration is like computing areas, adding areas by summation notation, and in integral that's integration. So one is the trapezoidal rule, which treats areas bounded by curves, especially area are on the river side where the river side is not straight, or your area is bounded by a curved shoreline, maybe like this. These are offsets, heights, h1, and up to hn. Then these are divided into equal parts, say d, 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 d. And it is sum of areas. These are treated trapezoids. So area 1 plus area 2, area 3, and so on and so forth. And we are able to derive. So for instance, in this case, 1/2 of quantity h1 plus h2 times d. Next, 1/2 of h2 plus h3 times d. So we notice that the intermediate offsets, intermediate heights, are used twice. So that's why the formula becomes factoring out d over 2 times quantity h1 plus 2 times summation of intermediate offsets, then plus h sub n. So you can easily derive this formula. Then the more accurate one is by treating this excess as parabolas, and this is called Simpson's 1/3 rule. This is applicable, that the trapezoidal rule is applicable for all situations, even if the number of offsets is odd or even. But for Simpson's 1/3 rule, because we denoted this as h1, not ho, then this is applicable directly when n is odd. When n is even, the last part is treated as a trapezoid. So this is more accurate. The formula therefore would be d over 3 quantity h1 plus 2 times summation of odd offsets plus 4 times summation of even offsets. So we can also derive this formula if you want, but you just memorize. The principle is we treat the excess as a parabola. So treat that as a parabola, for example, then it is area of trapezoid plus the area of parabola. The height at the middle is the average of h1 and h3. The height at this part is average of the adjacent heights, adjacent to that height. We are referring to a particular height. So again, trapezoidal rule, d over 2 quantity h1 plus 2 times summation of intermediate offsets, heights, and plus the last. For Simpson's 1/3 rule, it's a bit complicated, but can be derived again. Just follow the principle, applicable directly if n is odd, but when n is even, treat the last part as trapezoid. So it is d over 3 quantity h1 plus 2 times summation of h odd plus 4 times summation of h even, then plus h sub n. And this is more accurate.